Fibonacci zones. I'd like to target what I call the golden zone, or what was, I don't know exactly where it should be, but I got a good idea. Typically, that's between the 50% and the 61.8% percentile on the Fibonacci scale. Just an indicator used in charting, technical analysis, should I say. So what I do is, personally, I prefer to have a set of bars that are all the same color. Now that's just my personal preference, but to me that really shows a trend. So sometimes I'll look on a particular time frame, like this 1 hour time frame, and say, okay, here's a set of green bars, here's a set of red, here's a red and green, there's a set of red going down right there. So let me start with this set right here, just to kind of see how that worked out. Right now, what I'll do is I'll try to go to the lowest point in that area. Oh, 4 hours. Sorry about that. I need to get on that Litecoin. So on this in this set right here, the lowest point is pretty much right here. Not necessarily this red candle. A lot of times I try to get the red candle right before it. I could even do this one here, right? But let me just do from this swing low right here on that before it actually started uptrending, right? I would say most of this was like in a range before. So let me just drag this up here to the highest point before it started to reverse back down. You can see this is a pullback if you broke this into other smaller time frames, and then it continued to pull down in this candle, barely in that one, up in that one. So yeah, so now we have our zone here. And what I like to do is draw the box underneath, draw a box underneath, and I have it in my quick little favorites here, but I think you can get it out of the drawing here, and you can star it so that it appears in your favorites. And hit this star right here to make this bar stay on the screen for me. So yeah, what I'll do is, now I have snapping on as well, which helps sometimes, but other times it throws it off. But this time it's actually letting me pull it down to that 50. You see the 50 percentile here on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and draw from the 50th percentile. And I'm just going to draw, this time I'm going to just draw it bigger, because I already know from this chart what happened in the future, right? Or the present, should I say. But normally this stuff wouldn't even be here when I draw this particular thing. So say if I go to do a replay and say we're only up to, I say like maybe I see it pulling back in this candle, but say I see it starting to pull back here, right? And this is all I see on the screen. I would draw the box typically underneath, actually underneath this candle that's forming, right, in that time period, between that 50 and that 61.8% zone. Now what I like to do is get it really precise, so sometimes I'll double click it, or I'll click on the settings in its panel, and I'll make sure it's exactly where this says. So this says 5296. So let me just bring that down to 5296. And the bottom of that is 61.8 percentile is 67.3478. 7.3478. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to type that. That's a lot to tick through. Right? So that should put me pretty much right on the line there. Now what I like to do is, when I'm looking at it pulling back down or retracing back down, I like to call this my red zone, right? It's gonna be declining in price, so I like to call this like my red zone. And what I've done is save it as a template so that I don't have to color it and change it and all of that. And I have it kind of set up to the time frames that I like to use. And so I call this one would be a 1 hour red zone. And what that will do is automatically put a 1 hour text label at the bottom left of it, right? So when I go back to look at the chart later in the future as it plays out, you know, I could see, oh yeah, look, you saw how that happened. I could see, yes, it exactly came right back down into that level. It actually went through that level, but that bar did close between the 50 and the 61.8 percentile, right? And so this is another way I do my back testing as well, to see that the fib, if I would have entered maybe a short here or a short here, um, how that may have played out. You know, I could have entered a short with knowing my stop might be at the top of that candle or something like that, knowing I'm not going to take too many chances. This green candle might have changed my mind when I saw it, but you know, it's an hour to wait on this one, so that's just how it would work out in this case. And a lot of times after it's been uptrending for a while too, I anticipate some pullback, right? And so that's pretty much how I draw my lower boxes. A lot of times I will get rid of this Fibonacci zone. A lot of times I will lock that zone just so it doesn't drag around while I'm dragging around in here with the boxes. But go ahead and delete that. I'm hitting the delete button. And so now I just have my box there, and if I play it out all the way, you see it pretty much held in that zone for now, you know, and close out in that zone. So right now, this is the current time. It's actually in that zone. So what could happen here? It could reject back up. It could bounce back up, or it can continue on its, which it pretty much is. It's like on an upward uptrend right now, trending up. So it could do that. So that's what that would help me determine. This is an old one that's on here. Let me delete that. And so yeah, also this. And so that's when I draw those uptrending ones. Now say if there's one that's pulling back like down here. Say this, okay, here's this red candle that pulled back down. And once again, let's assume none of this exists yet. Or we can do it from the current one, actually. It's kind of hard for me to look at it like that when they're so small. Yeah, from this high point at this green one to the low of this red one, it's probably going to overlap the other box because it's such a small zone. Yeah, so it looks like that 50 and 60 will kind of like overlap that other box. So a lot of times when that's the case, then this would be as it retraces back up, since I could already see it coming down and starting to go back up. I'm going to delete that. I probably wouldn't draw that box, right? So and seeing this right now kind of lets me know what's going on, so it doesn't help to see that a lot of times. But say, for instance, I was drawing it in here, and none of this happened yet. And that is a downtrend in there. So I would draw from and I remember I got my magnet on here, so it's actually clicking and sticking to the tips of those. I have my weak magnet on actually over here. So when I click here, it's going to go to that very highest point. And then I would probably look at it like this. This is the lowest point, and I want to see where will it retrace up to, right? So assuming none of these candles were here, let's just go ahead and do the replay to kind of get those candles out of the way. Say if I saw it starting to move back up in this green candle here, let's get that candle formed. Okay. And that's the close of that candle is right there. So I see it starting to pull back up, and I'm wondering how far will it pull back up. So let me go ahead and I drew my fibs, and on this candle I would draw the 50 here. Now if it sticks here, you can always adjust it afterwards, right? If it's stuck there and I still want to draw it to my 61.8 level, I could just drag it right here to get in that 50/61.8 zone. So if I double click that, get my menu up. I had to double click it by the edge, by the way. And 61.8 is 68927. And the second part is 9156. Not that far away. I can click that too. And since this is on a 1 hour chart and it's going to go up to reach that particular price level, that fib zone, I'm going to use my template in here and call that my 1 hour green zone. Right, that's another 1 hour green zone. And another thing I'll do, I don't know if I showed that before, is I'll lock those zones so that they don't accidentally get dragged and slide around either. So let me click my fib here and delete it. And so now I have a zone that I can hope or look forward to that coin retracing to, right? So let's see what happened now that I have totally forgotten. Play. Boom, 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 boom. It hit it several times and went through, and that's what we know is going on right now, right? So I did see from this point where I drew the I can always see by the edge of my box here that that's where I made the prediction, and I could see that it wasn't long after that. It was actually that next candle that it actually went up to that 50th percentile, but then it closed all the way down here, right? Did a similar thing there. It went through, actually went all the way to 61.8, but it still closed underneath it. What I'm kind of looking for is either I'm gonna catch put a TP around the 50 or something like that, or a little bit before, or I'm gonna go all the way to 61.8, or I'm just gonna keep watching it and manually do it to exit it. But I just want to see it get back that far if possible, right? And so it did get that far, and I do like the fact that, I don't know how long this took to go through here, but it definitely would have hit my TP even if I went to 61.8% on there, or even the top of this high right here, this candle, not the high, but the close and the opening of those candles. So yeah, that prediction would have been on point when a few hours after, maybe like an hour, 1 hour after, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours after, and definitely when it went through here, it should have at the least, picked my order in here if it didn't in these other 2 or 3 hours, right? So that's good. And you can see it's working for the current time period too. So that's kind of how I draw my box. That's how, not kind of, but that's how I draw my boxes for my fib stuff. Let's go ahead and do one more. And I'm going to take it way back. I kind of like to really zoom back to where I don't really, and not even pay attention. Just kind of almost close my eyes and click and see, because I don't want to see what really happened, since I'm doing a replay. I'm kind of back testing right now too, in this replay session, so to speak. So see if I go forward a little, I see it's ranging, but now I see it pulling up. And at this point, I wouldn't necessarily draw a fib until I started seeing it pull back. So let me see if I get okay, there's a pullback candle right there, right? And so what I want to do is I'll take my fib here. Since these are my bars, I could draw it on there, but let me do something else that I haven't done in this video. And let me show you maybe on a 4 hour. See here, you can see a set of, let me see what's the difference. It's a little bit more clear on the 4 hour. The trend is up, going up, and I can draw from here to here. And so I can also see that there's a bigger trend even here. So if I want to do a daily or 8 hour chart or something, I might be able to see that one. That would be going down here and seeing how much it'll retrace there. It tends to work on all time frames. It's just a matter of what you're trying to do. So let me try it on the 4. So I'm gonna, these green bars, it's the furthest, the lowest point right here before the green bar, or if that green bar wasn't the lowest point, its low is not lower than the candle right before it. And so I'll drag that up to, and sometimes I'll mouse by it and see, since I got clicking the magnet on, what's the higher point, and I see this one's actually the higher point compared to that red one. So I'll click there, and now you'll see I'll draw my box in here, right? Maybe like this big. I don't know, 477. What does that thing say? I can't see what it says right there. 47892 maybe. I don't know. But anyways, I'll figure it out after I get done. So click, and still hard to see where that line is. I'm looking at the 61.8 and trying to figure out what's the exact percentile there, right? But anyways, it just needs to be in the relative area because it is an area either way. Anyways, it's not like a particular exact price that I'm expecting to get to. I'm expecting it to get to this particular zone. 4-hour chart, and I'm looking for it to retrace back down. Let me pull this out a little bit, and hope and looking to see if it'll actually retrace back down this far, right? So I'm going to use my template in here. I'm going to call this my 4-hour red zone. That's going to turn it to the colors I desired and put my little label on it. I'm going to lock it so it doesn't get dragged. Click the fib and delete that. Okay, and so now I have a potential zone for retracement. Now I am eyeballing a few other things here. I am seeing the 200 moving average and the 20 moving average both facing down. I could probably get rid of this trend line here. And so that would give me even more idea, especially since it's right here at the 20 when you're almost a reject of it. So that gives me almost more assurance that it will possibly retrace down to that level. So let's play it out, see what happens. Boom. Boom, it did it. You see that? Now that was 16 hours later. It did go through that zone and it closed right above it. So they basically closed right in the 50th percentile, that zone, the 50th percentile, which is very common and a good way to target it. And another reason I said a lot of times I'll set my take profit to be right above that 50, maybe at like the 48% or however much. Just, eyeball it sometimes too. I might look at where this candle closed or where these candles are closing over here. I see there's a level that a resistance zone that they kept closing beneath, so to speak. They were breaking through, but they kept closing beneath it. So I might set my take profit at the same level. So there's a lot of different confluences that I look at along with this after I've drawn my fib box to even help me understand where I might want to set a take profit if I do. If I'm not, manually approaching it based off of some notification or something. So yeah, so that's how I draw the Fibonacci zones for the longs and shorts, should I say. And that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.